Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Time now for the week that was. Let's take a look at the top stories that made headlines around the globe this week. Nigeria earlier this week joined the rest of humanity in ushering a brand new year. From Australia, Dubai, London, Paris, New York, and down to Lagos, it was one uninterrupted celebration of survival clothed in joy and thankfulness.
I am standing right here on the iconic Champs-Élysées, and the fireworks display is just right behind me. As you can see, the Arc de Triomphe has been lit up to usher in the new year. I am standing right now waiting for the fireworks to go off. I will count down with you. It's a great time to be in Paris. We know that there are so many events to look forward to, especially as the city.
Happy New Year, everyone. I think we're all glad to be back here, are you?
Absolutely. It's a new year, new dawn, new realities.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen the two of you since last year, so
correct.
I have to say Happy New Year. 2024, of course, is as it's trending on.
Welcome back, by the way.
Thank you. It seems as if 2024 is the year of no grief for anybody. That's what I've been seeing all over social media, and I'm wondering. I'm looking forward to seeing how Nigerians are going to, be true to that theme, so to speak.
No grief for anybody.
No grief for anybody.
I think the sense in that, shall we say, mantra or something like that, is to be assertive, is to define, yourself and not to be cowed, by anybody. In other words, it's like saying, enter the new year with confidence, with assurances. And I don't see anything wrong in that. But of course, if you follow the social media trend, you tend to get carried away by the funny, the hilarious, clips that tend to mirror what they're trying to say about, no grief for anybody. But I like the short presentation that, Adesua read, and of course the VT that we got there, from Paris to London, to Dubai, to Lagos, to Abuja. I was particularly impressed by the fact that, at least for the first time in a long while, Abuja had something definitive to celebrate the new year with.
Yes.
There used to be the thinking that for certain reasons, maybe reasons of culture or religion, that Abuja should stay clear of an elaborate New Year celebration. I saw, just on December 31st, and we saw it on TV, that Abuja had something to celebrate with, and people congregated, somewhere. I think that religion shouldn't define entering into a new year. If Saudi Arabia, if Dubai, if Qatar in Doha, could celebrate it elaborately, there shouldn't be anything stopping Abuja or even Kano or Kaduna or Sokoto. So I like the fact that the fireworks in Abuja, was beamed to the world on CNN. A lot of people might think that it was a bit cheeky that there was APC, in green in some of the inscriptions there. But again, that was the first big one that they will do. Lagos was also, interesting at the Soul Beach, where the Greater Lagos Fiesta countdown thing happened among the 5 venues that held this simultaneously in Ikorodu, in Badagry, at the Agege Stadium and Epe Recreational Center. I thought that keeping that tradition, glowing was something that is commendable and it's impressive. So there's a way that you feel that you are part of the global community and that you are entering the new year with assurances, with sure footing, and that go grieve for anybody this year.
I mean, the show in Abuja was tagged the largest drone show in Africa. I believe that's what they tagged it? I mean, I'm not sure, but I do know that's what they tagged it. But I do think it was really nice to see the Nigerian flag in the sky and the lights, and to see us using technology and celebrating and trying to enter the world, positioning Nigeria as one of the countries and Abuja as one of the cities that should be looked at when it comes to looking at world celebrations and looking at what we're doing over here.
Absolutely.
So I think that was a good one. Yeah.
Absolutely. Also keeping it on the theme of the new year, our next story, President Bola Tinubu in his first New Year broadcast offered Nigerians hope of a new dawn, stating that all the difficult decisions he had taken since assuming office were in the overall interest of the country. The president highlighted challenges faced in 2023, saying that having laid the groundwork of an economic recovery plan promised Nigerians to accelerate the pace of service delivery across the nation.
Compatriots, it gives me immense joy to welcome each and every one of you, young and old, to this brand new year 2024. We must lift up our hand to Almighty God in gratitude for His grace and benevolence to our country and our lives in the year 2023 that has just gone by. Though the past year was a very challenging one, it was eventful in so many ways. For our country, it was a transition year that saw a peaceful, orderly, and successful transfer of power from one administration to another, marking the yet another remarkable step in our 24 years of unbroken democracy. It was a year you, the gracious people of this blessed nation, entrusted your faith in me with a clear mandate to make our country better, to revamp our economy, restore our security within our borders, revitalize our floundering industrial sector, boost agricultural production, increase national productivity, and set our country on an irreversible path towards national progress that we and future generations will forever be proud of. The task of building a better nation and making sure we have a Nigerian society that cares for all our citizens is the reason.
In the meantime, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has signed a budget of 28.78 trillion for the 2024 fiscal year. The president, who returned to the Aso Rock Villa from his Yuletide holiday in Lagos, conducted a brief ceremony to sign the inaugural budget of his administration. The event was witnessed by top government officials, including President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Abubakar, and National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. The National Assembly had on Saturday passed the 2024 appropriation bill, increasing its size from the initially proposed 27.5 trillion by President Bola Tinubu to 28.7 trillion naira. The budget size saw an increase of 1.2 trillion naira. Well, the budget has finally been passed, this budget that we've been speaking about over the past couple of weeks.
But just before you go on, Adeso, I think that was Atiku Bagudu, right?
That was not Atiku Abubakar. That was Atiku Bagudu, the former governor
of Kebbi State, who's now the Minister for Budget and Economic Planning.
Yes.
Okay.
So The budget has been increased by 1.7 trillion by National Assembly. The budget has a lot of funny aspects that I think we mentioned earlier when we spoke about certain line items with the Ministry of Agriculture, certain line items with the Ministry of Women Affairs, where you have 2.5 billion in deep freezers going to the Northwest Senatorial Zone in Akwa Ibom. We have a budget where we're assuming our revenue is going to be higher. We have a budget where we're borrowing an incredibly large amount of money to fund. But the president did go on the 1st of January, starting off the year, saying he signed his first budget. And we want to see if this budget of renewed hope, as it's been tagged, is really going to do that work for Nigerians in terms of making our daily lives better and easing the economic situation we're currently facing in the country.
I mean, just to backtrack a bit, because we also listened to the president's New Year address as well. I mean, his agenda has always been about renewed hope and giving hope to Nigerians. Coming into the presidency in 2023, that was the biggest part of his campaign. However, as opposed to talking and hammering on the things that were in the speech, I think one thing that really stood out for a lot of Nigerians was the fact that there wasn't anything addressing the massacre that, of course, happened in Plateau State. Even during the Christmas festivities and after, the days that followed. And a lot of, just trying to figure out what the problem could have been. There's people that have said that, it's possible that it was pre-recorded before that. But that in itself, it takes me back a bit, because that's the first thing that a president should do, should show certain empathy, talking to those who have had to pay the ultimate price, which is losing their lives in this battle against insecurity. So that was what I was expecting. I was really waiting to just hear exactly how the president was going to make Nigerians feel better. And that in itself was missing from the speech. So when you think about it in that way, there's so much more that the team could do to make sure that he is connecting with the Nigerian people. But then, of course, there are other things that stood out in that speech. The promise of reliable supply of electricity. He did make reference to the Siemens deal that was signed back in 2018. Also reiterating that going for COP28, that conversation has started again with the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. He spoke again about restarting the local refining of petroleum, and promising that this is the year that the Dangote refineries would in fact be able to help us meet the quota that is intended. And another thing that also stood out for me was him promising a boost to the food supply and saying that they're going to cultivate 500,000 hectares of land. But let's not forget that there was already 150,000 hectares of land that was promised in the past. And what we saw at the minute fuel subsidy was introduced was more people going into poverty, more people in the land saying that they were hungry. In fact, there was a video that was trending, I believe, when the president went to the mosque, and you could hear people in the background saying "Ebim Pawa," which in English means we are hungry. So I hope and I pray that this isn't just promises. I was expecting, after 7 months of being in office, wanting to hear from the president exact, plans that have been set in motion, not promises. We will. What has been done, so far. And then when we talk about, just to quickly touch on this budget that has been signed, thankfully, it's we've been able to get back to our yearly budget plan. But when we look at the extra 1.2 trillion naira that was added to the budget, that in itself is a breach of the Fiscal Responsibility Act by the executive arm, which says that the budget should be must be presented at least 3 months before it's signed. So, there's just a lot of things that when you look at the body language of this administration, starting off the new year, how much hope are you giving Nigerians when you are introducing a 1.2 trillion addition to a budget that we already know has a large deficit? And there are line items on there, like you rightly said, Adesua, that don't necessarily align. They're telling the people to cut their coat according to their size, to manage. But are we seeing this current administration managing as well? I don't know. It's just 6 days into 2024, and it's beginning to feel like it's just the same old thing.
Absolutely, Shaitan. I mean, I totally agree with you, and I think I should also start from the part that detail what the president said, on New Year's Day. Everybody knows that broadcast to the nation was dated. I can't recall the last time that a sitting president of Nigeria spoke to Nigerians on live television, for either a national broadcast on October 1st or January 1st. It must have been a long time ago. So therefore, I mean, they've always recorded their statement. And there's nothing wrong in recording your statement and make it look like you're just reading so far that it's going to be played on national TV by 7 a.m. What is missing, or what was missing, was the fact that the president's team was not proactive. After the dastardly act of what happened in Plateau, it had become necessary to update what the president, prepared for the nation. Without having that empathy expressed to Nigerians, it shows that, the message was empty. Because there's no amount of hope that you can give to people when scores of your citizens were murdered, just 2 or 3 hours from your seat of power in Abuja. And it was even more debilitating that not only did you miss out mentioning it in your speech, you couldn't even go there. Yes, you sent the vice president, but the vice president is not the commander-in-chief. You are the commander-in-chief. I think that was not good enough, and it was not very smart of the team of the president as at that time. I wouldn't know what it would take to add 1, 2, or 3 paragraphs to what the president read, and then just record him, all over again. That you're able to do that means that you are setting a standard so that in case anything happens in the future, he has 4 years to spend, maybe 8 years if he wins re-election. It means that you can be stuck on a particular style. And like people have said, yes, it was his first New Year's speech. Maybe there will be 3 more for his first term. Outside of what was bad, he didn't do badly in trying to give hope. But you see, my point has always been that hope is not a strategy. Yeah. Hope is just a feel-good thing. But for how long, will people hang on to the straw of hope at a time that things are really very difficult? I didn't see much of strategy in what the president said. And more importantly, there wasn't anything to show that the president himself and the team that he leads will show sacrifice, the same sacrifice that he's demanding of Nigerians to make. I think that was an important omission in what the president, did. And how else can we know that it doesn't look like they are trying, to tighten their belts in the same manner that they're asking Nigeria? Will be, of course, in the letters of the budget. 1.2 trillion added, essentially on recurring. I mean, the jury is still out on the propriety of legislators, tinkering with the budget. It really can be right, but then here we have legislators who say that, and when they make use of their own constituency allowances to erect projects in their district, they name the project after themselves.
Yes.
I find all these things very intriguing, but
I completely agree. For example, when you were talking about the president going to visit the mosque with a large convoy of cars, when Nigerians are saying, we're hungry, and then you look at the budget and they've budgeted an additional 6 billion naira. They have budgeted an additional 6 billion naira for cars for the president's convoy in Abuja, and then the State House Liaison Office has budgeted 50 million naira for a helipad. They've budgeted 100 million naira for cars.
And
so
don't
where
forget
is
the
the
library as well.
sacrifice?
Where's the sacrifice?
They even have.
Where's the sacrifice?
Where's the sacrifice? You know.
All right, then we're still going to. We're still talking about stories that happened this week. Nigeria has expanded its suspension of degree accreditation to countries like Kenya and Uganda, following a recent halt on accrediting degrees from Benin and Togo. Now, Education Minister Taher Maman revealed plans to widen this action, targeting nations where dubious institutions operate. This move aims to curb the influx of fraudulent qualifications from foreign degree mills, sparked by an investigative report exposing illicit practices. Maman expressed firmness, stating those affected are complicit in a criminal network and called for their arrest. Nigeria is launching a comprehensive investigation into ministries responsible for accrediting foreign academic qualifications, aiming to safeguard the integrity of national credentials and protect employers from fraudulent degrees. Very, very important development there. When I was reading back that investigation, the fact that this person, I think it was the Daily,
The journalist,
yes, had said that he was able to get a degree in 2 months, a degree that would have taken 4 years to get, was able to get in 2 months, and possibly would have been able to use that degree to secure a job. I appreciate the fact that this in itself has been, brought to the forefront, and there are investigations being done about it. And I think I just want to add, without, there's not much to really say about this, but I want to add that while we are fighting that battle, let's also look inward, because there are people that have spent 4, 5, even 6 years in our universities, be it federal or even state-owned universities, and cannot necessarily say that this is what they've learned. Fine, this in itself is criminal to do. It's illegal to do. But let's also, while we're fighting the external battles, also try to ensure that the quality of our education system in Nigeria is also can also meet international standard practices. That's all I'm going to say about this story. Adesua?
Well, the reporter Umar Audu that did this investigative report, my hats off to him. I think it's very incredible for him to go and highlight something that's obviously, I think there are two parts of this story. One is his ability to get this fake accreditation, right? I think the second part is the ability to enroll in NYSC for the second time, which the government also needs to look at, because this is someone who served previously in 2019 and who was able to go back, the same individual, and say that he's serving again in 2022. I think that this is something that our government should also pay attention to, not just the fake accreditation, but also the NYSC system itself. Is it being abused? Because again, that means he
abused.
Because if he's able to collect alawi twice, then this is something that our government, we should not close one eye and just pay attention to what's going on. I completely agree that there definitely needs to be an investigation into these fake accreditations going on. And I would say that maybe some people in government who are also acquiring maybe PhDs might be aware about some of these agents who are helping them purchase degrees from other African countries. And I also want to call out that the National Association of Nigerian Students President for Benin Republic, Ugochukwu Favor, has called for the arrest of the journalist. And I just want to say that that is absolutely appalling.
He was talking about it on TV.
It is absolutely egregious.
He was
absolutely egregious. He was on channels saying that they should, because he's the president of the Nigerian Association, and he was on channels calling for the arrest of the investigator, saying they should arrest him because he's calling into question the validity. Of course he's calling into question the validity. And there's obviously due reason for him to highlight this issue.
You can get a degree in 2 months.
Okay, my own thoughts very quickly, and I cannot agree anymore with Adesua, on that. Two parts. First is, for me, I condemn totally the knee-jerk Jankara reaction of the federal government. I've not heard a word from the Honorable Minister of Education since he was appointed until now. I do not know how many journalists will recall his name, the Minister of Education. Now here we have him, based on a journalist report, and is, going gaga, banning, putting a ban on not just institutions, but even, countries. Benin Republic, Kenya, Uganda, all those things. I mean, on what basis? Is it just on the basis of this investigative report by this gentleman? As good as that report is, that cannot be the basis upon which you act. You have to carry out your own investigation. And in carrying out the investigation, what if you discover that it goes beyond African institutions? What if, say, an institution that awards a law degree in the UK, for example, in 2 years, to people? What if you discover that, a couple of people have certificates that were purchased? What if you discovered that the University of Chicago, for example, or Chicago State University, or Michigan State University, for example, or Washington, D.C. University, people have purchased certificates from there? Are you going to extend the ban on such things? So I think that the Minister of Education should take it easy, conduct proper investigation before you act. And what is even more important, like Adesuwa said, is the ROT, is the certificate for hire that is ongoing at the NYSC. And it should be of concern to this government, particularly when at least 2 of your ministers currently serving have issues one way or the other with their certificates as far as NYSC is concerned. It should be of concern to the government when you have a situation where a sitting governor, the issuing authority says that we did not issue this NYSC discharge certificate to you, and the court says no, the school has the authority, the governor, is the right. I mean, these are the things that we need to look at before we start, playing to the gallery and appear as if that we are doing something. The education minister is not doing too much. It should take it easy, investigate properly, and then cast your mind why, so that we know where the issues are. And I think that the focus, as a matter of fact, should be on the NYC to start with, before you start going to Cotonou or Nairobi
or Uganda
and stuff like that. I mean, what are we talking about here? So that's what I would say about it. But kudos to that journalist, who exposed the rot. Certificate for hire, even among many state universities in Nigeria, is ongoing. No matter the denial that they are doing, it's ongoing, and it has to be dealt with.